You
Hey guys, Christian here. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be working on the 335i yet again, but we're going to do something different today. This right here is my E90 2009 model 335i with the N54 motor. If you guys have been around the channel for a while, you guys know that this car is producing a ton of power. Last time we dynoed it, it was at 715 wheel horsepower. And one of the things that, you know, happens when you go to a car show or something, people always ask you to pop the hood, and I don't really like to show it off just because of how unorganized it looks under the hood. So today we're going to work on the engine bay and try to see if we can polish it up and make it look presentable. So this right here is the current state of my engine bay. If you guys remember when I first purchased the car several months ago, it looked very bad. I don't know what was going on underneath the engine bay. It looked like nobody has ever cleaned it, and you know, the choices for aesthetic modifications were kind of weird. One of the things we're going to tackle today is the cowl system. The E90X 335 normally comes with one that just kind of covers up this entire section, and it becomes super annoying because in order to take the beauty cover off and to actually work on the actual engine, you always have to remove it, and it's always in the way, and it just doesn't look the best. Normally people just remove them and they'll go with like a BMS cowl filter option that goes right here. It's like a small filter, just bolts on here to the factory hose, but I'm not a big fan of those. One, the filters are pretty small, and two, it exposes the DME box, and I think under hard rain, or if you're ever pressure washing the car, you always have that slight possibility of water getting into that. And for that reason, you know, I've seen kind of some nightmare scenarios happen with some people in the community where their DME gets pretty screwed up. So that's just an option I wasn't willing to go with. Plus, I don't like the idea of just removing the filters, washing them, and put them back on. It just, I don't know, not a good look for me. And of course, it also doesn't cover up a lot of this kind of wire stuff that you see back here as well. Another thing I'm looking to address today is the expansion tank, which is normally located on this side, but since we're rocking a DR700 bottom mount in the turbo kit, this side is pretty cluttered. We have the intake here, and we have all this piping, so it's just two squeezed in, wastegates there, so of course we have to relocate it to this side. The problem to having it on this side is that it's also pretty cluttered. There's nowhere to essentially install it. Doc Race does come with like a bracket where you can install it here, but there's an issue with that. I ended up closing the hood several times, and I actually dented the hood because of the top of the cap here protrudes, and it makes these marks, as you guys can see. And then of course an additional issue is that the power steering tank just kind of floats around here, and there's a chance that it can leak over time just because of all the movement. I chose not to like fabricate some kind of a bracket to, I don't know, I guess mount it somewhere. So we decided to go with a different option that should just kind of solve all of this in one step. And the other thing that is not really needed but can really help with intake temperatures is the snorkel here. Typically in a 335i you have the snorkel that comes this way. I know it connects to the air filter box. If you have the stock one, it'll lead air to this side, so it comes this way up here through the snorkel to the inbox. Or if you have like the dual cone air intakes, which by the way I sell on vehiclegarage.com, link down in the description, you'll have the snorkel just kind of open here feeding air this way. With the 335D snorkel, they have the intake system on the left side, like left lower side, so you can buy, I'll show you guys here in a bit, but you can essentially buy the snorkel that filters air this way, which should lead to better intake temperatures going forward. The upgrades or modifications, whatever you want to call it, that I'm about to install to the engine bay of the car are pretty damn expensive, and even for myself, was very hard to bite the bullet and actually spend that money. Is it worth it? I mean, it's pretty subjective. If you have the money, then maybe it's worth it. If you don't have the money, maybe you think it's not worth it. But let me show you guys what I got. So what we have here on top of the E30 is a bunch of BMW plastic. no surprise, they do specialize in plastic, and they charge an excessive amount of money for this plastic as well. So the first thing we have right here is the 335D snorkel. So it installs the front clip of the car this way, and you notice the opening, so it's gonna guide here to the passenger side of the vehicle where the intake is at. So pretty self-explanatory. You can buy this on either of these tunings or FCP Hero for like $40. That's very cheap. Or you can do a different option, which Ali has. I'll show you guys here real quick. So on his 335, he has a product from Turner Motorsports, which probably should be a lot more effective than the 335D one that I have, because it takes it directly over to where the intakes are at. It's wrinkle black, metal, probably a lot more durable. Looks pretty clean as well, but I just didn't want to spend the extra $100. I think this is $150, but looks pretty cool. And of course, he combined it with intake scoops and the stock funnel or whatever you want to call that. But yeah, that's another option. I'll link this option down in the description below, as well as the 335D one. This opinion might be unfavorable. I just think that this looks a bit cleaner in the engine bay. I've seen it before. I'll show you guys later on what the finished product looks like, and then you guys make your decision. What we have right here is not the regular 335 house system. We actually have the one from the E90X M3. Of course, it's the M3, so they had to get the cooler, set up. Essentially, this is across the back of the engine bay, right back there. Unlike the regular 335 one that covers all of this right here, it makes it impossible to remove the beauty cover to get to the engine, valve cover and stuff like that. This one has an opening in the middle, which allows you to work on the car without having to remove this. It has a very, very clean setup, and then this just kind of sits up top where the AC vent things are at. So that goes right there. This goes up top, and then you have the seal that goes across and essentially connects both pieces. It is a two-piece thing. You do have some hardware that connects this, and then you put this over here all the way around. Gives it a very clean look. I've seen other channels just kind of modify the regular 335 one and make it look similar to the M3. Didn't want to do that. I just wanted to have a clean look that looked just very OEM, and I didn't want to buy these used, because typically when you find them secondhand on Instagram pages like M Parts Worldwide, they're pretty beat up, they're scratched up, they're scuffed, they're faded, so I just wanted to start from scratch. But this entire set is pretty expensive. By the way, I do have the filters already pre-installed. But let's say you wanted to buy this entire kit with the filters from FCP Hero. It's like $700, guys. $700 for pieces of plastic. It took me like 2 months to pull the trigger on one of these, because I just couldn't justify paying $700 for plastic. What the f was BMW thinking? $700, but that's the M3 tax. And honestly, E90X 335 guys are buying these a lot more than the M3 guys. So I think this is they know that these are hot right now. 335 owners want them, so let's go ahead and bump up the price on them. I think FCP Euro has them on back order. That's the only issue. I bought these directly through BMW, and luckily the guys here at PSI have a dealer account, so I saved quite a bit of money that way. And lastly, we have the solution to the expansion tank problem. This was another part that I was really postponing, thinking I would find an alternative way to make my stock coolant tank work, and I just couldn't. I bought this from Turner Motorsports. They even have their branding right here. Pretty neat. Good way to keep us from removing that branding. This is a really cool expansion tank. The price is not very cool though. This is extremely light. I think it's even lighter than the plastic one on the 335. This is extremely light. Very nice. It's like one of the only companies, if not the only company, that offers this solution that's credible, at least. And then you get everything you need to install it. This is essentially a relocation kit, so whether you're doing relocated inlets with intakes on the opposite side or single turbo, this frees up all the room on that other side. So you have a cap for the coolant tank, all the lines and stuff that you need, the hardware, and of course you're gonna get a sensor as well for the coolant, which is actually another issue you have with the stock one, which I'm gonna briefly tell you about here in a second. They also include this hose right here. That's gonna, I guess, so you can run it from one side of the engine bay to the other side. We already kind of replaced the stock hose with a longer one to feed it over to the driver's side, so we probably will not be needing this at all. Anyways, let's quickly talk about that sensor. So